I cannot live without books. Honesty is the first chapter in the book of wisdom. Do you want to know who you are? Don't ask. Act. Action will delineate and define you. In matters of style, swim with the current. In matters of principle, stand like a rock. Whenever you do a thing, act as if all the world were watching. I like the dreams of the future better than the history of the past. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. He who permits himself to tell a lie once finds it much easier to do it a second and third time. Nothing can stop the man with the right mental attitude from achieving his goal. Nothing on earth can help the man with the wrong mental attitude. The tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants. Delay is preferable to error. The most valuable of all talents is that of never using two words when one will do. The man who reads nothing at all is better educated than the man who reads nothing but newspapers. I am a great believer in luck, and I find the harder I work, the more I have of it. Determine never to be idle. No person will have occasion to complain of the want of time who never loses any. I'm a greater believer in the labor of the hand than the labor of the head. I have sworn upon the altar of God eternal hostility against every form of tyranny over the mind of man. When angry, count to 10 before you speak. If very angry, count to 100. It is neither wealth nor splendor, but tranquility and occupation, which give happiness. Peace and friendship with all mankind is our wisest policy, and I wish we may be permitted to pursue it. Educate and inform the whole mass of the people. They are the only sure reliance for the preservation of our liberty. I prefer dangerous freedom over peaceful slavery. It is error alone which needs the support of government. Truth can stand by itself. Every day is lost in which we do not learn something useful. No occupation is so delightful to me as the culture of the earth, and no culture comparable to that of the garden. Never spend your money before you have it. Laws and institutions must go hand in hand with the progress of the human mind. Pride costs us more than hunger, thirst, and cold. Resort is had to ridicule only when reason is against us. He who knows best knows how little he knows. A little rebellion now and then is a good thing, and as necessary in the political world as storms in the physical. It is more dangerous that even a guilty person should be punished without the forms of law than that he should escape. The natural progress of things is for liberty to yield and government to gain ground. An honest man can feel no pleasure in the exercise of power over his fellow citizens. Rightful liberty is unobstructed action according to our will within limits drawn around us by the equal rights of others. Commerce with all nations, alliance with none, should be our motto. No man will ever carry out of the presidency the reputation which carried him into it. Timid men prefer the calm of despotism to the tempestuous sea of liberty. Experience has shown that even under the best forms of government, those entrusted with power have in time and by slow operations perverted it into tyranny. He who receives an idea from me receives instruction himself without lessening mine. History in general only informs us what bad government is. Money, not morality, is the principal commerce of civilized nations. The will of the people is the only legitimate foundation of any government. The boisterous sea of liberty is never without a wave. Nothing is unchangeable but the inherent and unalienable rights of man. Do not bite at the bait of pleasure till you know there is no hook beneath it. to compel a man to furnish contributions of money for the propagation of opinions which he disbelieves is sinful and tyrannical. He who does nothing renders himself incapable of doing anything. Whenever the people are well informed, they can be trusted with their own government. I am an enemy to every form of tyranny over the mind of man. A democracy is nothing more than mob rule, where 51% of the people may take away the rights of the other 49%. We should not be timid about making reforms as they become necessary. It takes time to persuade men to do even what is for their own good. Leave no authority existing not responsible to the people. Where the press is free and every man able to read, all is safe. Information is the currency of democracy. If we are to guard against ignorance and remain free, it is the responsibility of every American to be informed. Truth is great and will prevail if left to herself. The government is best which governs the least. A government big enough to give you everything you want is strong enough to take everything you have. Reason and free inquiry are the only effectual agents against error. I believe that banking institutions are more dangerous to our liberties than standing armies. As new discoveries are made, new truths discovered, and manners and opinions change with a change of circumstances, institutions must advance also. No nation is permitted to live in ignorance with impunity. We may consider each generation as a distinct nation. Our greatest happiness does not depend on the condition of life in which chance has placed us, but is always the result of a good conscience, good health, occupation, and freedom. Those who expect to be both ignorant and free expect what never was and never will be. I hold it that a little rebellion now and then is a good thing. To preserve our independence, we must not let our rulers load us with perpetual debt. The dead should not govern the living. He who has never learned to obey cannot be a good commander. Self-love, like the needle of a compass, never points more than one way. Merchants have no country. The mere spot they stand on does not constitute so strong an attachment as that from which they draw their gains. Enlighten the people generally, and tyranny and oppression will vanish like evil spirits at the dawn of day. Liberty depends on the freedom of the press, and that cannot be limited without being lost. I am for freedom of religion and against all maneuvers to bring about a legal ascendancy of one sect over another. The greatest danger to American freedom is a government that ignores the Constitution. A nation, as a society, forms a moral person, and every member of it is personally responsible for his society. The glow of one warm thought is worth more to me than money. Do not neglect your duties, for no man ever fled from them without detriment to his character. The only security of all is in a free press. Every citizen should be a soldier. This was the case with the Greeks and Romans, and must be that of every free state. We are not afraid to follow truth wherever it may lead. A wise and frugal government shall not take from the mouth of labor the bread it has earned. A morsel of genuine history is a thing so rare as to be always valuable. A true patriot guards against the excesses of power. Health is the first requisite after morality. The art of life is the art of avoiding pain. The execution of the laws is more important than the making of them. The freedom and happiness of man are the objects of all legitimate government. The ground of liberty is to be gained by inches. I never considered a difference of opinion in politics, in religion or in philosophy as cause for withdrawing from a friend. To penetrate and dissipate the clouds of darkness, the general mind must be strengthened by education. The glow of one warm thought is to me worth more than money. He who does most for his country is not he who commands, but he who serves. We do not have an eternity to realize our dreams, only the time we are here. A well-informed citizenry is the best defense against tyranny. Wisdom often consists of knowing what to do next. Determine never to be both idle and unworthy. The laws that govern men must grow with the progress of the human mind. It is wonderful how much can be done if we are always doing. Do not depend on the government to solve every problem. Cultivate personal responsibility. The world belongs to those who labor and cultivate it. No man is entitled to the blessings of freedom unless he is vigilant in its preservation. He who advances the welfare of others is the truest benefactor of his country. Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present. Habit is indeed the great guide of human life. Every man has two educations, the one he receives from others, and the other, more important, he gives himself. The price of freedom is eternal vigilance. We cannot expect to have the fruits of labor without the toil that produces them. Never fear the want of business. A man who qualifies himself well for his calling never fails of employment. He who possesses most must be most content with less. The preservation of freedom requires an educated and active populace. The harder the conflict, the greater the triumph. The health of the people is the foundation upon which their happiness depends. A government of reason is preferable to one of coercion. The success of democracy rests upon the character of its citizens. To learn, you must first listen. To improve, you must first observe. Never squander time. It is the stuff life is made of. A wise man will cultivate his garden of virtues before seeking to change the world. A person of integrity expects no reward beyond the satisfaction of doing what is right. The strength of a republic lies in its virtue. Honorable labor is the foundation of prosperity. The surest way to advance in life is through knowledge and diligence. Freedom is the soil from which all happiness grows. The practice of moderation secures the blessings of liberty. Good humor and patience are among the best of virtues. Time and reason will heal all wounds inflicted by human folly. A wise nation preserves its resources for future generations. The liberties of a people can never be secure unless they are self-reliant. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the resistance to it. An industrious and virtuous people form the wealth of a nation. In life, the small, consistent steps often lead to the greatest achievements. Learning is the lifeblood of liberty. Self-improvement is the noblest pursuit. Happiness comes not from wealth, but from virtue and knowledge. Good sense and good deeds are the marks of a true citizen. The future of a country depends on the principles of its youth. Contentment is the highest form of wealth. An open mind and a willing hand will achieve much. Every individual is the architect of their own happiness. A society that values its liberty must cultivate wisdom and virtue. The true measure of a person is in their contributions to the common good. Success in life depends on courage, constancy, and effort. A just government earns the respect of its people through wisdom and fairness.